Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Wars fans alike, particularly Star Wars The Mandalorian fans. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time-travelling toy collector, and today we are looking at Star Wars The Mandalorian Vintage Collection N-1 Starfighter. Now, it has been an absolute age since I've picked up a figure-compatible Star Wars vehicle, and we are talking the 80s. We are literally talking the 80s. So when this was announced, which I know is a while ago now, and I've had it shelf warming for a bit, waiting to get the time to actually take it out of the box and have a good old look at it. And also, you may recall, those of you who've been with the channel for a while, that I needed to get myself some figures, because whilst it does come with a Mandalorian figure, as you can see here, it also has a feature for R5-D4, which it doesn't come with. And because I've only got one of these and I'm keeping it, I'm not looking to sell it on, I kind of want to keep this figure that goes with this set carded. So I picked up, as some of you will be aware, as part of the same range, a Mandalorian figure and a decapitatable R5. So I've got these guys on standby, ready to go. So again, this is really hefty, so I've had to pull out a bit, which may cause a little bit of quality issues with the footage. Only for this bit though, because once I've got it all out of the box and set up, hopefully that won't cause us any issues at all, and I can zoom in as appropriate. But this is a really nice box. Product artwork on the front. Product photos on the front, product artwork here, the additional figure included, the classic Star Wars design, which you just can't beat it. It's so evocative of the time when these sort of things first hit the shelves, revolutionizing, I would say, toy purchasing for the first time in a long time. I think things like Action Man and Barbie / Cindy may have revolutionised it. Prior to that, this Star Wars came along with this amazing sort of logo, instantly recognisable representation on toy shelves across the planet, and really, really revolutionised stuff. So the fact we've got this again now in the 21st century, it does it for me. So I'm just going to, as I say, it's a massive box. I'm going to try and turn it around without any sort of catastrophes. The back is exactly the same as the front. Makes you wonder whether it was worth me doing that, actually. But what we do get, let me try and do this if I can. It's so big. You get some photos on the side of things of some of the action shots, a bit reminiscent of the old style, where we'd get some detailing on the boxes of things that could be done with it. There's an example of a figure in the cockpit and the figure doing some work on the engines. So, ultimately, this is the reverse side, but just so you get a chance to see a bit of everything. Ultimately, the box doesn't give us too much, but it gives us, I think, just enough to entice us in. And it certainly worked for me. It certainly enticed me in. I wasn't going to pick it up. And I am going to just say this before I get out of the box. It has all the hallmarks of being a wonderful toy for kids, with one major difference: the price tag. Now, the price tag for this, when it was first released, was around about 130 UK pounds-ish. There was some flexibility at different online stores, or you could get it directly from Hasbro Pulse. And what fascinated me was how quickly it sold out. I missed it in the first run. It sold out before I could get it. And I literally was trying to get it when it was released. So that's how quickly it sold out. And when I got a notification that it was back in stock for one of my preferred online retailers, I got it straight away. Again, for the same price. There wasn't any changing in price. But it just tells me that for the scale of this, and I know things are more expensive now and all of those wonderful facts that are all true, But for a vehicle this size, I was looking back at things like the armoured snowspeeder, Rebel armoured snowspeeder, for example, which had lights and sounds and quite a few features, and I would say is kind of equivalent to this. I think that's a historical similarity to this. This doesn't have any electronic features, and I really think that if you look at the price point difference, it's quite significant, which makes me think this is not being marketed at the child market. Now, there'll be children who get this as a well, just because maybe people buy it for them, or as a present for their birthday or Christmas or whatever. And that's lovely and great, but that's a lot of money for something that's going to be flown about and bashed about. It really sort of screams presentation piece, presentation toy at that price point. At least it does for me. I'd love to know your take on it. While you're having a ponder, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, by all means. But whilst you're having a ponder, I'm going to pause while I take it out of the box, set it up. It doesn't require, I've already looked, it doesn't require a huge amount of setup. It's just plugging some bits in that are scattered about. And then we'll take a closer look at the N-1 Starfighter. But whilst I'm getting it set, by all means, take a moment to like the video, because that would be super helpful at getting the video recognised within the algorithm of YouTube. But also, if you could, drop a subscription to the channel. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation to watch every single video that comes out. That's completely in your power. But it would really, really help me get to my next subscriber milestone. And it also, again, helps boost the channel. It's just a small little channel. I do it mainly to, well, I suppose, share some of my love for toys old and new. But also, it's something that helps keep me sane, or as sane as I can be, in a world of challenging times. It gives me something to focus on. And I hope through sharing that, it also gives other people an opportunity to pass some time in a very positive, hopefully positive environment. So if that's your kind of thing, then please do drop a subscription. It would mean the world to me. Okay, let's get this unpacked, and I will see you in the flicker of a Jawa's eye. So here it is out of the box, and I have put it onto its assembled stand. Now, it does require some minor assembly. These elements need to be plugged in. This tail section needs to be plugged in. The dome, which you can see I've popped the Grogu figure in, I'll show you that in more detail shortly, needs to be attached. And there's a couple of other little bits here, an engine bit, engine cover, of which there's only one, which is by design. So it leaves the other engine exposed, and it gives the figure something to carry around. There's also some really clever, you can't really see them, they're in here, they're transparent. There's three or four pieces that join together that can be attached at the base of this, so you get the sense that it's hovering off the ground, so it's easier. So it's less flight mode than this is. This, however, is flight mode, and it comes with this wonderful adjustable Star Wars The Mandalorian. You can see it's a ball joint, you just click it on, but you can then position it how you wish, for some nice, well, arguably some nice flight-based photography, or whatever you want to do with it, really, how it just display, etc. It's a hefty piece. You can see already that it's a hefty piece. There is a lot of magnificent everything, all this paper stuff, because everything comes wrapped up in paper now with these things. So that's what you can hear me inadvertently touching. I've got rid of it. But you can see the high quality of the detailing within the engines there. Let me zoom in even more if I can. You can see all of that, which is really nice. You can see the detailing on the rear there. I mean, some of the it is a very well made, beautiful piece. There is simply no denying it, and it's massive. I mean, you can see how big it is. There's my chunky hand. Doesn't even come close. So it is quite hefty. So I'm already rethinking my earlier comment about the sand speeder. So if you've put a comment in saying it's nothing like it equivalent wise, then yeah, I've come to that conclusion. Ignore me, thank you. But it is lovely. Now I'll just take this out for a second here, just show you some of the some of the wonderful... Oh, I've taken it off. And there's little Grogu. There is actually a hole. That's a nuisance because I want it to pop out. There we go. So Grogu as a figure sits in this little tub area. The reason this is detachable is because this here is where you can put R5's head for alternate experience. He can come out of there, but he's a little tiny fiddly thing, and once he's out he's a swine. So you can put the dome over his head so he's got air and just pop that back in there. So you can stay there, Grogu, for us for now. In your pop there is a little connector for it, so obviously it doesn't want to connect. There we go, that's in. I'm keeping it tilted this way just so you can kind of get an aerial view as best you can. I'll try and give you a bit of a rotation in a second, but before we do that, I just wanted to show you this. This is the carded Mandalorian N-1 Starfighter figure, unique to this collection, to this thing, and he comes with a pistol, the sword, and vibro knife, I think, and the staff there, and all of those accessories that come in this card. Let's have a look at the back just in case there's anything of note. Not really, it's some of the other available elements. There we go, all from the vintage collection. All of those have a secure storage place where you to take them out of here on the ship, which I think is absolutely wonderful. There's a part of me that wishes that I picked up the HasLab of the Razor Claw, because I've seen a couple of videos of that now, and I mean that was before I started collecting again, so it was not remotely on my radar, but a part of me really wishes I'd picked it up. Yeah, I might try and see if I can. Occasionally you see one in the wild at a convention. I may try and see if I find one. I'm at London Film and Comic Con in London imminently, so I might try and see if I can see a vendor selling that, and if it's not ridiculously priced, I may be tempted, just because I love the quality of the detailing. I really do. So on that topic, I'm going to pick it up. I may choose to take it off that display stand. In fact, I think I am going to take it off display stand just for ease for now. But it's a ball joint, so it does just pop out. I'll put it over there so I've got some space to manoeuvre. I can show you the underside now. There's not a lot going on detailing wise. That's your hole for that. But it's nice and straightforward. Another lovely little feature, they didn't have to do, but they did. I'll have to move it around this way to show you. So in here, you might be able to see it. Let me zoom in a bit more. You can probably see that there's a pole, or what appears to be a pole, through those two vents. Now let me just zoom out slightly. The tail section that I mentioned before is one of the bits you have to attach, so I've taken that off. It just slots in. But here is this. Now you may, if you're a follower of the series, you know that the Mandalorian had to get one of these, and once he did, it would facilitate the ship working. And so it comes with that. You store it in there, you stick the back on. Again, everything's quite tight, but you'd rather it be tight than loose and falling out. That's really resisting going in. There we go. I'm always convinced it's me doing something wrong. There's a bit more paneling that you can see there. There's some nice scoring, but without being overdone, I would say. Without being overdone, which I do appreciate, I must say. As I say, it's got quite a large turning curve. So let me again pull out a bit more so you can see it. It has got soft extremities, so it's not too bad. These are much firmer, but just as a toy, it's brilliant. The 8-year-old in me is dying of excitement with this. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, from a cockpit point of view, the cockpit slides forward, as you saw on the box, and this is what things look like from this perspective in the cockpit. However, that's half the story, because you can actually, again, it's probably going to, oh no, it didn't resist too much. Always makes an unsatisfied, panic-inducing click when I do that. You can lift it up for ease of access, and now you can see a little more clearly the interior of the cockpit. There's not an awful lot in terms of detailing or indeed colour. I think they may have missed a bit of a trick there. There's always some sort of hair somewhere. You can see the seat's nice and brown and ready to receive Din Djarin, but yeah, it just strikes me that there's a bit of a void in terms of stuff going on there. This side, which is underneath where Grogu sits, there's a wealth of tabs you can see there where you can actually place in the armaments, and the instructions clearly show how best to put those in. But what that facilitates essentially is not losing any of his accoutrement, shall we say. Let me just tilt. I know I've not put it back on the stand, so that's probably going to be a wibbly wobbly mess, but if I just tilt this down slightly and I pick up my non exclusive Mandalorian figure and get him into a sort of seated position, if you'll do it. The figure itself isn't that dissimilar from the one that comes with this, only the one that comes with this is a lot cleaner, dare I say. Now, is this going to be ridiculous and not fit and ruin my day? You can tell it's the first time I've tried, can't you? Let's have a look. Why won't you go in? Is it just because you're stiff, mate? Do you just need to bend your legs out? There you go. Keep the arms in. This is actually very reminiscent, I won't lie, of some of the old 70s and 80s toys, where you are literally left going, how do I get the figures in? We know on paper they fit. Here we go. Well, they fit. God knows what it'll look like when I try and get it out again. So then let's see if that will shut with him inside. It does. And then we can slide it open. Hello. There he is. So that works quite nicely. Apologies if my hands got in the way of seeing that effectively. So it was a bit of a push and a struggle. But we got him in there. We definitely got him in there in the end. So that's a bit of a result. I mentioned this panel over here. It's detachable. It doesn't, I mean, other than him carrying it around, it fits on either side of the ship, but for ease we'll keep it this side. It just clicks in. So in terms of all that it has to offer, you've pretty much seen it. I'm going to pop him back. Excuse the variety of extreme close-ups. I'm going to pop him back on this now, just because if I put it on the other stand, it'll be really tricky to for you to see in the space we're working with. So in it pops. A little bit of maneuverability, and I love the maneuverability that it gives us, to be honest, because you really can position it in any number of ways. Let me just move it back slightly and zoom out a little as I send it flapping about, and maybe move this up a touch just to get it zoomed in. And as I say, it does come with this, but I'm very keen, I think, to keep this carded, you know, because I haven't been doing that sort of thing as a rule, and I'm kind of keen to start, which is why it's quite nice that I was able to pick up sort of a regular retail edition that was not too expensive. In-demand toys regularly do clear out sales, and I think I picked it up in one of their clear out sales. Certainly it was reduced, so I snapped it up. If you're in the UK, or even if you're not, do check out In-Demand Toys. They're very, very good, and where things are left over, they do reduce them quite drastically. And I say that because something else that I absolutely did not intend to buy, for a variety of reasons, not least the fact that I could tell it was dreadful, but the comedy value of having it was really tempting, but I wasn't prepared to pay the sort of price it was, and you'll know it when you see it, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to come very, very soon to the channel. But I will say it's in the Transformers range, and it's a hefty figure from what I've seen. I've not taken it out yet. Again, it comes with a carded figure, which will stay on the card, I think. But the figure itself and the alt mode takes me right back. But the robot mode itself is something shocking. But they reduced it significantly, and I picked it up for an absolute steal. I can't remember exactly what it was. I just remember thinking, wow, if it's that cheap, I'm going to get it. And I did. But I really am in love with this. Do I think it's worth 130 odd pounds? No, I don't. No, I don't. Do I think it's worth around 70, 80? Yeah, I probably do. I think it's overcharged. I think, like a lot of things, it's overcharged. I get that we're getting a figure that would probably cost about 20 quid retail. And I'll tell you something else as well while I'm thinking about it. So apologies if I've been if I go off on a bit of a ramble around this. But these figures, the vintage collection, I must admit, you've got the vintage collection, the retro collection, and the black series, and probably something else in between. And I've been asked a few times, and I had to ask as well, because when I came back to looking at anything remotely Star Wars, I was a bit vexed by the different sort of scales and descriptors of the figures and so on and so forth. But these are vintage collection. And the thing with the vintage collection is, and I don't think a lot of people get just how close to the retro collection they are in terms of scale. But they are, I think, I would describe them as the retro collection of the 21st century. Because if this figure, if you think about how Boba Fett was produced, for example, back in the 80s line, the 5 points of articulation, if we're lucky with some of the figures, so shoulders, hips, neck. But these figures have ball joint neck, elbows, occasionally wrist, very rarely, knees, occasionally feet, very rarely, but they are far more posable. But they're of that scale, so that's why, to me, the vintage collection is lovely, because it emulates the retro collection in scale and everything else, but it has all of the articulation aesthetic of the 21st century toy lines, whereas the retro collection itself is literally the reproduction of those original models. And again, I'm here for that. I love those. I think anyone that follows the channel knows I had most of the figures in my childhood. And they all went to car boot sales, thanks to my folks. And I would stress against my will. And yeah, it's painful to even think about. But which one of the reasons I didn't touch and didn't want to touch Star Wars toys, because I thought, I knowing my personality type, I could think, well, very easily I'd get in, start collecting it and spending disproportionate amounts of money on things that I probably should not be spending money on. And this is a prime example, because when I saw this being promoted, I thought, I have to have this. It's just too gorgeous. And again, it's the flexibility of being able to display it as if it were in flight or in some sort of combat mode. It is a wonderful vehicle. And it's been out for a while, so I think if you were going to get it, you've probably got it. If you haven't got it, you're going to be looking in the secondary market. But for me, and my story with this is, as I say, the first Star Wars vehicle I've bought since the 80s. it just demanded it of me that I did that. So what I want to know from you, if you're still here listening to this, is did you pick this up? Did this encourage you to get back into collecting? Are you already collecting Star Wars? And if that is the case, what did you think of this? What did you think of the price point of this? In fact, just tell me what you think of vintage, retro, Black Series collections. I've picked up a couple of Black Series things, odds and sods, you know, I'm not been wholeheartedly committed, just things that I've seen that I've gone, wow, I wish I'd had that as a child and I really like it, and I've had to get it. Which is again how I've ended up with this. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts down below. As I say, I'm not going to change my mind on the fact that I'm really pleased that I picked this up, but I just really love, you know, the way this plays out. I think it is, you know, I think it's a beautiful toy or collector's piece, depending on your viewpoint and what you want to do with it. So again, that's another question, I suppose, from me. Would you buy this for children, or is this a personal purchase for a personal collection rather than a toy? Or is it a toy that you want to play with and you're in your 40s, in your 50s? Because that really doesn't matter. You know, there's no judgment here, believe you me. I'm just curious. I'm just curious what drives other people who are watching this channel to pick stuff up. But for me, there was an element of nostalgia and an element of excitement when I saw this, that I just had to get it. I just couldn't not get it. And you know how you know you wanted to get it? When I missed out on getting it. So when I couldn't pick it up because it had sold out, that's when I knew how disappointed I was and that I had to get it. So if you know that feeling, then you know what I'm talking about. So again, thanks for joining me for the last 5 minutes or so. I appreciate you've got so much else you could be doing, and your time is extremely precious and valuable. So sharing it with me is much appreciated. So do please let me know in the comments what you think of the N-1 Starfighter, what else you may have picked up, what else you might be looking forward to picking up in the future. Who knows? And yeah, drop a like for the video, and please drop a subscription to the channel. I don't always ramble on quite as much as I have for this. Sometimes I do, but it's more because I'm sitting here having taken it out for really for the first time to look at it and put the figures in and so on. And I'm so filled with nostalgia for what's gone before. And I suppose it's all bubbling over. So yeah, I'm just interested to hear what your thoughts are about this model, about this toy, the price point, the quality, and what you might be looking forward to. And again, some of you will know I have sort of backed the Tatooine Cantina HasLab. I've never backed a Star Wars HasLab before. As I say, I wish I'd got the Razor Claw, but that's my loss. But yeah, so I have backed that, so I am looking forward to getting that sometime in 2025. Have you backed it? Would you like to see something very specific as the next Star Wars HasLab? If so, what? What would you like to see? I'm going to draw a veil there, because otherwise I'm going to talk for hours about things Star Wars toys, which was the biggest risk that I knew I would encounter when I started collecting stuff again. And so I can only apologise if I've started to bore you to tears. But if you do like things Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Transformers, Battlestar Galactica, if you like Corgi collectibles, things like that, G.I. Joe, then there's stuff here. There is stuff on this channel for you. Have a little peruse, have a look around, and as I say, please do drop a subscription to the channel. It's completely free, but if you just want to have a peruse around, that's entirely up to you. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you for spending time with me. As I mentioned, I've been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector. This has been the Star Wars Vintage Collection N-1 Starfighter as it appeared in The Mandalorian, with the carded Mandalorian N-1 Starfighter figure, which is staying carded, the little Grogu figure, which wasn't carded, which is why he appears like that, just in case you thought I might have taken him off the card, my uncarded pre-existing Mandalorian figure, and I know I haven't shown you him in the cockpit, but it's a lot of faff, but it's my interchangeable R5, also from the Vintage Collection, whose head, I think I've shown you this before already in another video, pops off like that. That's his inner workings. He's got a bad motivator, and you just substitute the two, essentially, is how that works. So there you go. I've sort of shown you anyway. Yeah, I really have loved this. I think it's fantastic. I look forward to seeing you in a future, or of course a past video, and it just remains for me to say that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Bye-bye for now.